Hello, Covenant Keepers, and welcome back to another episode of the podcast. I'm here with mi esposa bonita, Lucy. Huh?
Yes, we've had a nice long weekend for some of us that, well, not really us because we worked last night, but some of you guys that had President's Day off.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we were off most of the day. And then we had to work in the evening, but it was nice. We were here with the kids for a little bit.
Yeah, because they were out of school, so yes. Absolutely, that was nice. Enjoying the extra little bit of time that we had. We didn't have to wake up at, dawn, which, I've shared in the past. Like, that's my time anyway. It doesn't really matter. I wake up every morning at, I think before the sun comes up.
Yeah, but we don't have to rush around.
That's the key.
So you don't have to rush around in the morning when we don't have to be in the office in the morning. So it's nice.
It is nice. But yesterday we went to the gym, which was also another little bonus to not being able to run out yesterday morning. And yesterday was funny because we had an adventure. Yes, it was an adventure. Because the idea was, hey, we're going to go to the gym, we're going to work out, we're going to come home, we're going to have lunch. But as soon as we're walking up to the gym, you got to do your little scan thing, majigger, where you got to scan so they'll let you in the gym. Mm-hmm. And when I asked my wife, because typically she doesn't drive. Typically I do the driving. But yesterday, because it was my birthday, I don't know, the day before, I don't know what it is, but you decided to drive. And when I said, hey, babe, can I have the keys to scan in? You're like, I gave you the keys. I did not have the keys. I put my hands in my pocket, and I came up empty. I'm like, no, babe, you got the keys. And you're like, no, I gave you the keys. So we're both standing there waiting to go into the gym. No keys, no card. And the adventure begins.
Yes, because then I quickly realized that I took the keys out of the ignition and threw them inside my purse, which I usually do whenever I'm in the passenger side and I'm bringing my purse with me somewhere. However, never bring that purse inside the gym. So I threw the keys in there and then locked the door with the bag in the car. So at that point I realized, oh no, I left the keys inside the car.
Yes.
So then it was kind of like you had the upset look on your face. Like I already knew what was going through your mind. It was, I'm sure that the thought was, you know what, if I was driving, this would have never happened.
See, where you say upset, I say concerned. I had a concerned look on my face because now I'm faced with the challenge of getting into the car. So that's what's been flooded in my mind. See problem, find solution.
You didn't think at all for a second, wow, she locked the keys in the car. I would have never done that. Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
Now, I will never say never.
Yeah, because you had the thought.
Because anyone could lock the keys in the car. Now, if I were to look back in the past and say, have I ever? I'm kind of a loss for... that happening in my past.
So you had the thought, wow, right? You didn't say it, but I know you had the thought, like, wow, I'm sure.
To be completely honest,
had I been driving,
crossed my mind that if I were driving,
exactly,
the keys would have been in my pocket.
So then, now I'm on pins and needles because I was the one that locked the keys in the car, and so I'm feeling like I need to come up with a solution. But at this point, I'm like, well, let's come up with a solution after we work out. Because we're already here. We're already in the gym. They already know us, so we don't even really need to scan in because they already know who we are. So they kind of get us in the system real quick without the little scanny thingy.
Tag, yes.
And we start walking down the hall to go to the gym, and then you're like, I don't know. I think we need to go. I think I need to go figure this car thing out.
Well, yes.
So then I'm like, fine, because, typically... It is like you to have an excuse not to go to the gym.
But that was not what happened.
Well, no. Yes, I know it was legitimate because we did have a mini crisis that we needed to solve. So I went back outside with you to figure it out.
Well, yes. Like, I can't go relax and work out at the gym if I know we have a situation at hand that has to be taken care of. Because my thinking is, okay, we work out for an hour and a half. Now we come out, and now we have to figure out what we're doing. So we're going to stand out in the parking lot for an hour waiting for what? Like, then we got to figure out how we're going to get in. Like, we got to solve. Like, that's not the time for me. I can't just relax
See, but because you wanted to let's just go out and figure it out. Had we worked out first, you may had gotten the juices flowing in your brain.
No.
To maybe not think that you had to try and break a window, because that was your thought process. I might have to break a window to get in this truck.
Not initially. Now you're jumping ahead of the game there. Not initially. See, I couldn't have worked out for the hour and a half because that juice is flowing. That valve got shut off when the problem arose. No longer. My mission was to get inside the vehicle. That's why I said, hey, babe, if you want to go work out, be my guest. But I'm going to go solve this problem.
Well, and I had to go with you.
Yes, you made the call that it would be better if we did it together.
And I was glad I did. Because when we got out there, you were trying to, pull glass out. And
well, the first step is, first we got to check to see if the doors are unlocked.
Well, yeah.
Because there could be a slight chance that there's some type of system somewhere in the vehicle that the doors won't lock if the keys are left inside.
Maybe for some vehicles, but not ours.
I don't know. I've seen it in a movie or something.
I remember praying as we're walking to the car, like, Lord, please don't let don't let them be locked. Let there be one door that is open. And then as we check the doors, they're locked. And I'm like, all right, God, so we're supposed to walk through this. You're going to walk us through this. I did not have like that. I wasn't angry. It almost like there was like no worry. It's almost like we had the solution at hand. So
yeah, I was going to get in the car.
Yeah, you were going to break a window.
Hold on a second.
So thank goodness that I was out there to put it through the thought process wheel. Because you were just like, all right, how do I get in? So you're trying to pull. I'm
trying to check all the windows and to see how much play the doors have, how much play the windows have, and there was a point where.
No.
If I had one more 16th of an inch, I believe I could have got that car open.
Okay, well, you can go ahead and believe that. So I immediately start, going through the thought process. Okay, so where's our extra key? And you're like, well, we have an extra key, but it's at home in the house. And I'm like, okay, so we could get somebody to pick us up and drive us there. But how do we get in the house?
Right.
Okay, so then we're thinking, is there any way to get in the house? Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We could break in.
Well, yeah, you were thinking break. I did not want to break anything. So I'm like, all right, what else? We could call somebody. Maybe somebody has AAA. And I remember my mom used to have AAA for the longest time. But here recently, I remember her saying that she doesn't have it anymore. And I'm like, okay. So roadside assistance came into my brain after the AAA thought. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we have roadside assistance, I believe, with our car insurance. And you just looked at me like,
yeah, call them.
Okay.
Let's see if they.
So I'm like, all right, I'm going to call them. Yeah. And you're like, all right, call them. So I call them and I check real quick. Hey, I think we have roadside assistance. And she's like, yes, you do. So ding, 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 ding. She was like, yeah, I'll get you all set up. And sure enough, within, 5-10 minutes? It was pretty quick.
Yeah.
There was somebody in the parking lot getting our door open.
Yeah.
So the moral of the story, after emotions came down, even though I wasn't emotional, I was pretty calm. I have to pat myself on the back. I was pretty calm.
Oh, mercy.
Say no. Say I wasn't. I was.
I don't know. I was in mission mode, so I don't know what was going on.
Yes, exactly. There was no panic in me.
Yeah.
I think it was just God's way of just, like, he gave me peace. Like, almost, I already have the answer for this. You just have to...
So what you're saying is I didn't have the peace of God?
You did. Can you seriously sit here and tell me you had peace? You didn't have any peace. You couldn't even go work out.
No. It's not that I couldn't work out.
Oh, goodness.
Right? I was faced with a dilemma. And the way that God has wired men, see problem, find solution to problem, fix problem. That was the mode that it went into. It's that whole warrior mentality. Like, I see it, now we got to go fix it.
Yes, because you men have one box. And in that box is full of tools to break stuff. Women have multiple compartments where they intermittently go in and out.
Yes.
So I believe, like, the way that after the fact, when I started thinking, I was like, wow, this is so awesome, the way that God makes us different. And he says that we're to come together.
Yes.
Right? It's not good for man to be alone. See, because if we were both thinking the same way, like say I was thinking like you, then we'd be breaking stuff all the time trying to figure it out. But because we think differently,
yeah,
I was able to kind of talk you off the ledge of, let's break something.
Well, let's take a break there, because I want to come back and talk about this more. Because I know with us we see it a lot, and with other couples they see it a lot, is how different God has made men and women when it comes to problem solving. So we'll be right back. Are you looking to strengthen your marriage? Are there reoccurring conflicts that continue to frustrate both you and your spouse? And could you benefit from faith-based solutions for today's relationship issues? At Tampa Family Resources, that's exactly what we offer. Check out our website today, tampafamilyresources.com. Hey guys, it's Brent and Lucy from Covenant Keepers. And if you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First of all, it's free. It will cost you no money out of pocket. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. The cool thing about it is that Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard from Spotify, Apple Podcast, and so many more. It's so easy, and everything you need to make a podcast you can find in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm, that's ANCHOR.FM, to get started today. So guys, thanks for staying with us through the break. Yeah, before the break we were talking about, just in our situation, how different we were going to attack this problem. Mm-hmm. And identifying that God has made men and women very different in how they deal with these situations.
Mm-hmm. They resolve the problems. But no, I was very grateful that there was a way to handle it without breaking anything, without getting, angry and out of control.
Okay, now so you're painting the picture like it's bad. It's not bad, because there comes a time when you have to break stuff. There comes a time when you got to just go through the front door, right? Not getting crazy, not getting angry and upset. That's not what I'm talking about.
Okay, if there's a fire, I could see where we might have to break something. Or if there's a kid locked in a car, I could see where you might have to break something.
Right. But what I'm saying is that there comes a time when there's time for action, where you can't sit around and just contemplate, like, okay, well, let's see here. If the moon and you don't have time for that all the time. There comes a time.
I understand
that what God has put in a man, it comes into play. It's necessary.
I'm not saying you're not necessary.
Yeah, but you're painting the picture a little bit like, oh yeah, you're getting crazy and angry and
because
don't make Hawk angry.
Because very quickly you could have broken a window in the car that could have potentially been a little pricey for us to fix.
Yes.
When there is time to actually, think things through and figure out another way other than breaking something. Now, I understand that there are times, yes, for that action, like, okay. Mm-hmm. But yesterday wasn't it.
You didn't know how to say it.
What, like break something?
Not
yesterday
necessarily
wasn't it.
For action. Let's call it action.
Okay.
Let's not say break stuff.
Okay, action.
Yeah, it comes a time that it has to be for action, But I like what you said there, because it is important to be able to bring those two things together. Because you are going to get a more well-rounded picture of everything if you're able to bring the female side of the brain and the male side together.
Of course.
To problem-solve situations. Mm-hmm. Right? And I think that's where we see struggles with other couples, but also with ourselves when we get in that kind of mindset where I want you to think like me, or I try to get you to think like me.
See, I don't think it should be okay, you have to think like me. It's okay, help me understand why your thought process is this way. Mm-hmm. I think that's more of where couples need to get into that headspace instead of like, well, why don't you just see it my way?
Right.
And that's usually what causes the conflict, because there's always somebody trying to pull somebody along to see it their way. Mm-hmm.
Well, I think the first step to do that is realizing by God's design, men and women are different.
Are supposed to be different.
And they're supposed to be different. And I'm not talking about just anatomy-wise. Like, even the way that God has wired a man's brain to think, like, there's a plan and purpose within that, you know? Some of those attributes that comes with the male brain. But also on the flip side, the female brain has her own attributes that come into play that are there and also necessary. Mm-hmm. I think, you know, it's hard. It's hard when you do have that conflict that you just refuse to invite your spouse into the situation.
Well, I think it's because people get emotional.
Yes.
And then they start only seeing things through their own filter. And maybe their own selfishness starts to get in the way. But if we could step outside of that and just say, okay, help me understand why, like, your thinking process. Like, why do you think we should do it this way? And then you both share your perspectives. And then there's a third perspective. There's the way that God would want you to do it.
Well, you said a lot of good things there. So I want to back you up to the point because you were talking about emotions. And emotions, I will agree with you 100%. Emotions will cloud your thinking.
Well, it'll cloud wisdom and good sense.
It does. Sure. It does. Because emotions can overwhelm you and be so strong, you're going to act out of emotion and not out of wisdom.
Well, there's a lot of people, like couples, that'll start fighting and get to a place to where now the emotion has taken over. And they're like, you know what, divorce. Right?
Yeah.
But if you can stop, we typically would advise couples, hey, don't make decisions when you're emotional because they're usually not going to be the right ones.
Yeah.
You have to wait till everything calms down and the fog clears so you can see things more clearly and you can be wise about the decision you're going to make.
Right.
So, I mean, that's what I see with couples.
Well, it is. I mean, but then again, like, I know it's easy to say, okay, well, get a hold of your emotions. But that can be hard. That can be really, really hard at times to kind of wrap those up and being able to have a conversation.
Well, I think people need to have visual cues. Like, you know, when you get married, when you say your wedding vows, I know it goes something like, you know, for good and for bad, in sickness and in health, for rich or for poor, until death do us part.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's in that order, but anyway, those are all in there. So, if you could almost visualize that, and I know it's difficult unless you have it somewhere, see something that reminds you of, okay, these are some of those bad times that, you know, we vowed to be here for each other when they did come. Through those bad times, that's when the emotions start to take over. So it's really thinking about, okay, what's really important right now? What is really important right now? Is it more important for me to win this battle and to get him or her to see it my way, or is the relationship more important?
Well, and you made another good point, because that's what I see with us at times, or with others. We get so wrapped in wanting to win that we lose focus on really what it's all about. We don't make it about the relationship anymore. I make it, like you said earlier, it becomes selfish, and I want it my way. And that's just taking it right down to the nuts and barrel of it all. Like, I want it my way. And when I try to convince you of my way, and you're not responding in the way that I would want you to respond, I get more frustrated. I get more angry. I get more upset. And the emotional level, which may have been at a 4, now I'm at a 6, maybe a 7.
We'll see. And then, because the Bible says, you know, the woman reflects the man and man reflects Christ. And that's paraphrasing, but I know it says that.
Right.
So now if you're getting frustrated and angry, what do I look like in that situation? Typically, I'm reflecting some of that frustration and anger right back because there's no Christ in that. Right.
And I guess that's where some of that responsibility, you know, the Bible talks about the man being in the leadership role. Right? Being able to lead like Christ, the servant leadership, right? Where I hold you, or a man is supposed to hold his spouse higher than himself. In those moments, in those times, slowing back and really thinking, is this what God would have me do right now? Am I honoring God in how I'm speaking to my wife? Am I honoring God how I'm even trying to communicate? Or the desires that I have right now, are they in alignment with what God would want me to do?
Well, that's the hard part for people to get into that headspace when they're so emotional.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it can happen. It's definitely possible. I mean, we've seen it in our relationship. Like when you slow down, instead of allowing yourself, kind of catching yourself as you start to feel the emotions start to ramp up, you catch yourself and you ask yourself, okay, what is this argument really about? What's more important right now? Those are important questions that may help you check the anger and the selfishness and just really think about what's most important at that moment.
Well, it comes back again to thinking about, as Christians, is Jesus really Lord of my life? And that's a big question. Like, am I going to submit to God in this situation, in this moment, in this time? Or do I want to go with what my flesh wants, what my flesh is desiring, what I want? Or am I going to defer to God? Am I going to submit to God in this area?
And both of those choices have consequences,
yes,
whether positive or negative, but it leads somewhere, the choice that you make.
Mm-hmm.
If you go down the negative path, which is pretty much, I want to do it my way, I'm going to make sure that everybody does it my way, you'll see the kind of the trickle effect from your wife to your kids to everything around you doesn't start looking right because of the choices you make.
Well, let's notch it up. I know you say negative, but let's call it what it is. It's sin. When you're walking outside of the will of God, it's a sin. Like the Bible says, if paraphrase, if you know the right thing to do and you choose not to do it, it's a sin. I know as a husband how God expects me to talk to my wife. Even so much there's scripture in it that says this, if I'm not treating my wife properly, paraphrase, he won't hear my prayers. Well, my prayers will be hindered. Now that's huge. So thinking about a man, I can be over here praying for something and God's not really paying attention to my prayers because I'm not treating his daughter properly. Right? Yeah. That's tough to kind of get a hold of that.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it works both ways too because, I mean, the scripture applies to both husband and wife.
Yes.
If you know that you shouldn't be doing something and you're doing it anyway, you're kind of like, yeah, I know I shouldn't do it, but I feel like doing it. Like, that's a sin.
Yeah.
So it goes both ways where, a wife is being disrespectful and the husband's being unloving. Like, both ways, I don't think they're going to be receiving the blessing that they could be getting if they chose to walk in a Christ-like manner.
So, bringing it back around as far as how men and women are different. It's not bad that men and women are different. It's not bad that we think differently, that we have different perspectives, because that's how God made us.
Well, that's the important thing, is to understand that it's not bad. That they're supposed to be different because when you bring the two together, you're a lot stronger. You bring a lot, like it's almost like you have tools and I have tools, but they don't work well alone. They work better together.
True.
Almost like you have like a pair of scissors, like you have one side and I have the other. Like we can use them as knives all day long, but that's not really what it's meant to do. They're meant to, bring them both pieces together, and the functionality is a lot nicer.
That's good. I like that analogy. That's really good. Paints a good picture. So I guess that's the struggle or the desire, I guess, is to figure out how we bring them together.
Well, and it's just that. It's asking yourself the question. When you're in that moment, start to identify the emotion and then try to identify the problem that you guys are debating about. What's more important? First of all, you have to keep the problem. Second of all, like, you have to prioritize the relationship before anything else.
Well, then that's what we tell everyone all the time. It's like, if one wins and one loses, you both lose. You want to both win. You want to have it where you feel like you're winning and your spouse feels like they're winning. That's the goal, and that should be what you guys are trying to achieve in the situation. Like yesterday, bringing it back to the car and kind of wrapping up on this thought process is like,
we both won.
our whole goal at the end of the day, how do we get inside this car with not having to pay anything?
Yeah.
You know, without causing more damage, because I didn't want to cause any more damage. I mean, yeah, at the moment I'm like, I'll find a way to break in with prayerfully not causing any damage. But my goal was to get inside. And just like you, your goal was to get inside.
So we had the same goal.
Yes.
But we had different paths on getting there. So we had to come together to get some logic in there and some God in there, because it took some prayer to get to the right spot.
It did.
Because I believe God brought clarity in that moment, because I didn't go to that place to get emotional and angry and us start getting into it about how to get in this car.
Right.
You know, and that was all God. Like, God helped me stay kind of grounded and just start going through the different possible solutions until we got to the one.
Right. And one thing for a man's side, I know that pride a lot of time gets in the way of us. That we kind of get this, okay, everybody stand back, I'm going to take care of this kind of situation. That we don't let pride get in our way, that we can't even hear what somebody else is bringing to the table. And in this case, it was my wife. Right? I could have got so focused on solving the problem that I'm not slowing down and listen to the wise counsel, that this gift that God has put inside my life.
Well, had you decided to go out there by yourself and like you told me, oh, you go ahead and work out, I'm going to go out here and figure this out, it could have looked a lot different.
Oh, yes.
So I had to put my desires aside because I wanted to go in and work out. So that's what I told you. Hey, let's just worry about it later. Let's go work out and get that out of the way. So even though I wanted to go work out, I had to put that aside because there was something we needed to figure out together.
100%. And at the end of the day, we drove off into the sunset without any damage or bill.
Without any damage.
So what we asked for you guys today as a couple, what tools do you have? And what tools does your spouse have that God has designed for you to bring them together and to work in unity in your marriage and in your family? We pray you have much blessings. God bless, and we'll see you next time. So guys, we hope you enjoyed the podcast today. We hope it's been helpful. If you did like it, please go check us out at covenantkeeper4life.com. That's covenantkeeper, the number 4life.com. And get out there, guys. Stand for marriage. Stand for God. You're a covenant keeper.